Welcome to the Landy Peek podcast. I'm your host and friend, Landy Peek, and I am thrilled to have you join me. In each episode, we will explore what makes life truly fulfilling: happiness, deep connections, and self-discovery. Together, we'll uncover that happiness is not a destination, but a way of living. Now, let's dive into today's episode. There is a very specific kind of frustration that happens when you can see your stress patterns really clearly. You know that you overthink. You know that you put things off. You know you avoid the conversation, delay the email, leave the decision hanging longer than you'd want to. You know what tends to set it off. You know the exact pressures, the feelings of uncertainty, the possibility of getting it wrong. The sense that something might get uncomfortable or feel disappointing or that you feel exposed. And you know what you should do. You should just send the email. Just make the call. Just have that conversation. Just decide. Just start. Just stop overthinking. Just breathe. Just calm down. Just let it go. And still, the pattern runs. You can feel yourself circling, delaying, avoiding, telling yourself you will deal with it later. And afterward, you are left with the same frustrating thought. Why am I still doing this when I know exactly what is happening? Welcome back to the Landy Peek podcast. I'm Landy Peek, and if this feels familiar, this episode is just for you. We think if we understand our patterns, we should be able to change them. If we just know where it's coming from, we should be able to change it. If we can name it in real time, we should be able to change it. If we can catch the thought, talk ourselves through it, remind ourselves what is true, use that tool, use the mantra, use the strategy, use the breathing, that will change it. And sometimes those things do help in the moment, but they do not change the underlying pattern itself. That is what we're talking about today, because so many women are not lacking awareness. They're not lacking insight. You're not lacking information. You know the pattern. You know the setup. You know what you should and want to do differently. And still, you keep upending in the same place. And it's not because you're failing. It's because cognitive understanding is not the same as changing the pattern. And once you really see that, so much starts to make sense. We live in a culture that puts a lot of faith on our understanding. We understand the patterns. We understand our past. We know our triggers. We understand ourselves better. And to be clear, understanding does matter. It can bring awareness, relief. It can help make sense of what used to feel confusing. It can help us stop personalizing the patterns that have deeper roots. It can help you say, oh, this is why I do that. And that really does matter. But here's the trap, especially for smart, self-aware women. The trap is believing that if you understand something well enough, you should be able to stop doing it. If I know why I do this, I should be able to change it. If I can see the pattern, I should be able to interrupt it. If I know what I should do, I should be able to just do it. And it sounds very logical, but that's not actually how stress patterns work. Because stress patterns do not always show up as obvious panic or overwhelm. They sometimes show up as circling, as procrastination, delaying, overthinking, avoidance, not answering a message, not making a decision, not starting the thing you know matters and will help and change your life. As telling yourself you will deal with it later when you're less tired, less emotional, more ready, more clear. You know what needs to happen. And still, you don't move. That is the part that then brings in the shame. We judge ourselves for it. We say that we're lazy. We think that we have a discipline problem or a follow through problem or a motivation problem or a character problem. But very often, what you are calling a character flaw is actually a stress pattern. And that matters because you can relate to those two things very differently. A character flaw makes you feel like there's something wrong with you. It makes you feel ashamed. A stress pattern helps you understand that something automatic is happening inside you that is not going to be changed by insight alone. Just think about having the hiccups. When you have the hiccups, you might know, oh, I often get the hiccups when I do this, right? You can understand physiologically why hiccups happen. They still show up, and you can't change them. This is a very different conversation because that gap between the knowing and the actual underlying pattern and how we can address it are two completely different things. And we spend all of our time, energy focusing on the knowing and the trying to understand it, but we're missing the key element of addressing the underlying pattern. And this is exactly where I want to take us today. This is exactly where my work in Stress Rewritten was created to address. Because most women have been taught to approach a challenge, to approach our own systems and emotions cognitively. We're really good at learning more, at understanding, at thinking better, at catching the thought, reframing the thought, replacing the thought, talking yourself through it, reminding yourself what is true, using that strategy, the tool, the breathing. Again, I'm not dismissing those things. Some of them can absolutely help. Some of them can create a pause. Some of them can support you in the moment. But what I want to talk about is that frustration in between, because you're doing those things. You're already doing those things. But are you seeing the change you want to see? Or is the pattern still coming up again and again, and you're just now band-aiding approaching, right? We're doing some of those things, talking ourselves through it, which is a band-aid in the moment. Do you actually feel calmer when you say, okay, I'm safe, I'm calm, I'm okay? A little bit, maybe. But then does it pop up again and you have to say the same thing again and again? What would it be like in your life if you actually just changed the pattern instead of just continued with the Band-Aid approaches? We're living in the assumption if I learn enough, I will change. And that's great, right? That's what we've learned in all of our education. If I understand it, I can stop the pattern. If you become self-aware enough, I will no longer get pulled into it. But I think the more we're self-aware, the more shame spiral we actually get into, because we know what it is. We know the pattern. We know what we should be doing. And yet we still can't change it. We still snap at our kids when we're overwhelmed. We still freeze in that moment and can't frickin' send that email. This is the kind of learning that most of us trust, that most of us have bought into. The awareness, the explanation, the information. All of those things are useful for making sense of our experiences. But making sense of your experiences is not the same as changing your automatic underlying response to it. And that's exactly that frustration that led me to create Stress Rewritten, because it's built around that exact difference, not helping you understand the pattern more, because you already know your patterns, but helping the pattern itself begin to change. Because this is a disconnect for so many women. A woman can understand her stress patterns beautifully and still end up right inside of it. You can know exactly why you're avoiding the email. This happened to me. Absolutely, I know. There was an email that I was completely avoiding. I can tell you exactly why. I can tell you where the stress pattern came from. I can tell you the trauma that came before it. I can walk you inside and outside why I was avoiding that email. And you know what? I still avoided it like the plague. I can know exactly why a conversation feels loaded. I can walk you in and out of the patterns that my husband and I have and a continual fight that we always had for years and years. I can tell you the systems that created it. I can tell you his attachment patterns and my attachment patterns and why this keeps going. And that's great. It really is, because it helped me step back and understand that it is a pattern. But it didn't change that once I felt triggered, we went in the exact same pattern. I can know why I'm circling a decision. I bet you do too. I bet you know exactly why you're short, you're shutting down, or you're pulling away. But do you still do it? When shit hits the fan, do you still snap at your kids? Do you snap at your husband? Do you shut down? Do you pull away? Do you avoid? Do you give the silent treatment to people? It's not because you're lacking awareness and knowledge. You know you do this. It's because information doesn't update that internal pattern. This is the piece that so many people are missing because we think cognitive learning should be enough. But the brain's primary job is not just to think. It's to predict. It's to constantly take in cues and ask, what is this? What usually happens here? What do I need to prepare for? Do you hear that in your own self-talk? What is this going to be like? What do I need here? What do I need to prepare for? Have you done this in your own life? Where I know for me as a young parent or a parent of younger kids, I would always think ahead. What's going to be the tantrum? What's going to set them off? What do I need to have? What do I need to prepare for? And some of that is great. But what I really realized is I was doing it not because it makes it easier on them, because my nervous system couldn't handle it when they lost it. So I'm going to make sure that I'm okay by over-preparing. How much of your day is spent scanning for patterns, the tone of voice, the facial expressions, the timing, the silence, the unread text, all of the meanings that we lay into those? When the brain recognizes that familiar pattern, it predicts. It predicts pressure. It prepares for pressure. It predicts conflict. It prepares for conflict. It predicts discomfort, disappointment, criticism, or risk. And it prepares for that too. And how much energy is it taking you to predict and prepare? And that preparation is what you experience as stress. And that preparation does not always look dramatic. Sometimes it looks like speeding up. Have you ever felt that sense of like, oh my gosh, I've got to go, I've got to go, I've got to go. Like there's that strong sense of urgency. Sometimes it feels like your body tightening. Sometimes it looks like irritability and snapping. Sometimes it looks like you're controlling everything. Sometimes it looks like overthinking every possible outcome. And when we get into this pattern, not only do we shame ourselves, but other people also comment on it. Because then we're too controlling, we're too emotional, we're too snappy, we're rushing everybody. And the opposite happens too. Sometimes it looks like us pulling back, going blank, avoiding, delaying, not answering, not deciding, not beginning. This is important to understand because many women assume that if stress is the issue, they would know it. We think of when we look at, and somebody says, are you stressed, right? We look at all of the big things in life. And yes, big things cause stress. But most of our common stress patterns are really quiet. They keep us stuck, stalled, feeling in limbo, circling, telling yourself, I'll deal with it tomorrow. They keep us tired. And that's not random. It's a prediction system doing what it's learned to do. This is the part I really want you to hear. You can understand your pattern and still live inside of it. You can know that overthinking is keeping you stuck. You can know that avoiding the conversation is making it harder. You can know that putting off the decision is costing you energy, and you can know that not acting is feeding your stress. And that doesn't mean that you stop doing it. Your brain keeps running in the same loop. Why? Because prediction systems do not update because you explain something to yourself clearly. They do not update because you made a good point. They do not update because you know what the healthier response would be. They do not update because you have insight into your childhood, your triggers, your habits, and your coping style. They update when they get the signal of safety. The brain changes when it experiences something in a different way, often enough that the old prediction pattern starts to lose its grip. That's how a pattern begins to shift, micro moments of safety throughout your day. When you're feeling okay, when you're not feeling okay, it's those micro moments of safety that signal your body, not your brain, not the thinking part. We're safe and we're okay. So it's not when you keep telling yourself what you should do, but when your system starts to learn and be signaled in the right way. This is why so many capable women end up frustrated, because we tell ourselves we know better, because we spent so much time and energy reading the books and listening to the podcasts and taking the courses and working with therapists and working with the coaches, and that has helped. You've done the work. You can explain your pattern in real time, and you keep doing it. And then you make the meaning around something is wrong with you. And we hear people say, well, you're just self-sabotaging. You're not trying hard enough. Somehow we get the idea that we're failing at healing. And it's not a lack of effort or even a lack of desire. It's that we've been using the wrong mechanism. And for many of us really strong, capable women, we're still functioning, we're still showing up, we're still handling a lot, we're still doing what needs to be done. And that right there can also be your stress pattern. You push harder, you do more. But that doesn't dismiss what you're feeling underneath, what we're emotionally avoiding, what emotionally feels loaded, how we're over-preparing and overthinking instead of moving, how we're researching instead of deciding, how we stay busy with the small things so we don't have to face the bigger ones, how we think about a conversation over and over and over instead of actually having it, how we rehearse our response instead of sending it. We stay in motion without actually changing. And because we're still productive, our stuckness gets missed. No one sees the mental drag. No one sees the circling. No one sees how much energy it takes to keep holding it all together. But you feel it. You feel the weight of things left undone. You feel the pressure knowing what needs to happen and still not doing it. You feel the shame of having insight and still repeating the pattern. This is what I created Stress Rewritten for. Because this is exhausting, this pattern of knowing and still doing, because now it's not just stress. Now it is the stress of the pattern, plus the stress of judging yourself for still having the pattern. Now we weave in all the stories of I should have handled this already. I should know better. Why am I making this so hard? Why can I help everyone else and still get stuck here by myself? Why do I keep doing this when I can see it so clearly? Over time, a capable woman starts confusing a learned pattern with her identity. Maybe I'm just indecisive or avoidant. Maybe I'm just bad at follow through. Maybe I am just someone who makes things harder than they need to be. This is just how I am. But I would wager That's not who you are. It is a pattern your brain learned to run. And because it was learned, it can be changed. When I say stress rewritten, I'm not talking about managing stress better. You've already got those. I'm not talking about forcing yourself to think more positively. I'm not talking about pushing through harder. And I'm not talking about turning healing into another set of things that you should be doing correctly. I'm talking about something deeper than that. I'm talking about the pattern itself starting to change. The thing you used to avoid no longer feeling so loaded. This is what Stress Rewritten is designed to support, where we're speaking to your subconscious, we're tapping into your body through well-known to your system, nervous system, safety hacks. And we're talking to the parts of you that resist the change because they're your protectors. So that the thing that you've been avoiding doesn't feel so loaded. The email you used to put off no longer carries the same weight. The conversation you used to brace for no longer hijacks your whole day. The decision you used to circle finally feels movable. The moments that used to trigger overthinking are not spiraling the same way. Not because you suddenly become more disciplined, but because your brain is making a different prediction. This is the shift. The goal is not to become someone who is constantly trying to override herself to be better. The goal is to become someone who no longer has to fight herself so hard in the first place. This is what changes when the pattern starts to loosen. Things that used to feel charged start to feel more neutral. Like for my client, Mary Jean shared that after she listened to the first 3 audios in Stress Rewritten, she had a stressful conflict with somebody that she works with. And where she used to really take it on herself as something that she had done wrong, instead, she used her anchor and then was able to allow herself to feel better in that moment, step back, and she could see it from both sides. And there was an aha in, oh, we're coming at this at 2 completely different belief systems. And then she was able to have the conversation with that other person instead of spiraling into the hurt and the shame that she would have. Things that used to feel heavy feel more doable. And things that used to pull you into a stop loop aren't pulling with the same force. This is very different from coping better inside the same pattern. That is, the pattern itself is becoming less dominant. You're changing your brain. You're changing your response system. This is why so much stress advice falls short, because when a woman is stuck in the pattern that looks like avoidance or circling, the advice she usually gets sounds like this. Well, just take that first step. Stop overthinking it. Get out of your own way. Just use that tool. Calm down. Just make yourself do it. Be more disciplined. And to a woman who already knows what she should do, that advice rarely feels helpful. It feels shaming. It feels heavier. And because now she's not only stuck, she's being ashamed of being stuck. Now she's not only avoiding, she's judging herself for avoiding. Now she's not only circling, she feels behind, weak, frustrated, embarrassed that she still needs that help with something she thinks she should already be able to handle. I see this in so many professional women who are healers and helpers. We think because we can help someone else that we should be able to help ourselves. But it doesn't work that way. And then our shame adds up. And shame doesn't create change. It usually deepens the pattern. Shame adds pressure. And when the brain already links pressure with stress, adding more pressure does not create the freedom you're craving. It makes the system brace harder. That's also why so many women quietly feel like they're failing while they're doing all of the quote-unquote right things. They know the language, they know the tools, they know the breathing, they know what they should do. But doing it in the moment is completely different. and the change that they're hoping for hasn't happened yet. It doesn't mean you're doing it wrong. It means the kind of support that you've been given may be helping you understand the pattern, but you're not actually rewriting it. Stress Rewritten was created for the women who are ready for more than understanding. That's a very different problem. This is also why Stress Rewritten is not built around giving you more to think about. It is built around something your brain and body already do. What I have noticed in my 14 years working with the nervous system is that we already have patterns that our brain and body naturally use. Stress Rewritten is linking what your system experiences already and using it on purpose for the better. And you already know this. You know that a song can change how you feel before you're even thinking about it. That song, just think about that song that every time it comes on the radio, every time that you play it, it takes you back to that moment that feels good. We've all experienced a smell that can bring you back to something instantly. A certain voice, a tone that can tighten, a place where your body just exhales. We see this so often with PTSD, and we know this around PTSD. It's called neural nostalgia. And it's where something from our senses, a sight, a smell, a sound, instantly transforms us, instantly shifts us back to that moment. And not only is that moment in a memory, but a full body state, the feeling. In Stress Rewritten, I teach you to use this for your benefit, not being hijacked like in PTSD, but our body already knows the system. It already uses it. So let's use it in reverse to help us so that you have what I call your anchor, that piece of neural nostalgia that brings you back right in that moment to I am okay, a state, not a thought. Shifting your internal state. Our brain is already doing this all day long. It's pairing repetition, emotion, expectation, and response. It's why we can listen to a song and feel like we're back in that moment, smell that smell, and we're right back in our grandmother's house. Right? We can use that on purpose. And that's exactly what Stress Rewritten is designed to do. We're using what our body is naturally doing. I saw these patterns on repeat when I worked with trauma. And it wasn't until I was really digging into what could help me without the thinking, because I already knew I could list my patterns, but it wasn't changing. So what if we use something like neural nostalgia that's seen so often in PTSD to shift our state for the good? And guess what? It works. So Stress Rewritten, I've taken 6 different nervous system hacks that your body already knows, so there's no learning. It's just using it on purpose to make you feel better and safer. So instead of asking you to keep thinking your way out of a pattern, Stress Rewritten gives your brain and body a completely different experience. And that's the point. We need a different experience instantly. Now, the really cool thing is one of the hacks that I teach you, I use on my son when he is going to sleep or having difficulty going to sleep. Literally did this last night. And he's like, "Mommy, what are you doing to me? Stop making me fall asleep." He went from wired to asleep in under 5 minutes. My client, Crystal, she used a different mechanism that I'll teach you inside Stress Rewritten, one of the nervous system hacks, and it's using a metronome. And she said she listened to that audio on the way to work. She's a physical therapist. She used it with a client. She's like, she texted me right away and she's like, oh my gosh, I saw her nervous system shift in seconds right before my eyes. And then she went home that day and her daughter was having a major meltdown. She was dysregulated, had been crying for 30 plus minutes. And she used that same metronome trick, hacking our system. Her daughter stopped crying in under 2 minutes. This works because it's not using new information, it's using what your body already does. I have women like Jackie who describe feeling more grounded and supported, where Jackie was telling me that she felt like she had split personality after she used this because typically she would get upset and then she would perseverate and it would ruin the whole day and often carry into the next day. After working with the system, she said she got really mad at her daughter for messing up something that she had just organized, and she snapped. And then, instead of spiraling and continue going and being mad, she's like, it was like I snapped, I yelled at her, and then it was done. And I was like, and then I'm the nice mommy again. And she shared that she then could take that step back. And in that moment, she was able to talk with her daughter, not yell, explain why she was upset, link it to an experience that her daughter would know that if she had gone in and messed up her daughter's dolls that she had worked really hard on setting up, that her daughter would feel the same way, that she was upset for this. She was then able to calmly repair that relationship, explain what had gone on and the whys, and connect with her daughter. And it's not, this doesn't work. Stress rewritten doesn't change your pattern because it asks more. It's because it works because it's already using the mechanisms that your brain knows. Mary Jean also shared that she had worked with other practitioners around her nervous system that left her feeling really, really unsettled without helping her return to the present. But that it feels different now because now she's tapping into that true, regulated, and grounded self. It's funny because she texted me and she's like, that neuro stuff is really working. And I'm like, tell me more. And it's showing up in a different way. It's not getting hijacked by your emotions. It's practical tools that your body already knows. And then we layer on another level because in the 7 years that I've worked with women and trauma and the nervous system, I've really learned something. Our stress, yes, comes from the stress response and the nervous system. But then we get entangled with the stories, the fears of being judged, imposter syndrome, the stories that we're not good enough. So Stress Rewritten focuses on those nervous system hacks, 6 different hacks that bring you back to yourself in moments without you thinking a thought. And then we work on the stories because the stories keep you in that shame spiral. And if you've ever experienced it where you try something new and then you feel like you're self-sabotaging, that's because there are parts of you that are protector parts. And those protector parts are doing their job. And so the third part of Stress Rewritten is speaking to those protector parts. So they feel seen, not pushed away, but heard and understood so that they let the work happen. This is something that I've not seen any other program do, where we're working with the nervous system, your thoughts, beliefs, and stories, the meanings behind them, and those protector parts. In the work that I've done over the last 14 years with people, this is the key. It's bringing those 3 parts together, and that matters. Because I'm guessing you're not looking for temporary relief. I'm guessing you spent a lot of time, money, and energy already finding temporary relief. I'm guessing what you want is to stop feeling like you're living inside the pattern over and over. You want to stop feeling hijacked by the things that should not take over your whole day. You want to stop carrying the constant internal pressure. You want to stop knowing exactly what you should do and still feeling stuck in the same loop. And what I hear back again and again is not just I understand myself better, it's I feel different. I feel steadier. I feel less pulled under by the things. I feel more grounded. I recover faster. I do not feel as trapped as in the same response. This is the kind of shift Stress Written is designed to do for you. Because it's not about forcing yourself into a better reaction. It's about working with the way your brain already learns and knows, already links, already responds, and using that on purpose so the old pattern does not keep getting the final say. Now, I know you are super busy. I know that you don't have time to show up for calls. I know that you don't have time to watch videos. And that's why I created Stress Rewritten as an all audio based program on purpose. Because you don't have the time to take out of your day to do something different. But I'm guessing you already listen to music or podcasts. And so Stress Rewritten is all audio based with short audios. The first audio speaks, it's usually about a 10-minute audio, and taps into that nervous system body based hack like neural nostalgia that you're already doing. It quickly teaches you how to use it. As simple as finding your anchor, and that's it. Then using it. And it's easy. You're already doing this. We're just doing it on purpose. And then you have your letter to your protector parts, 5-minute audio. And then the subconscious audio, which speaks to the patterns underneath, speaks to the meanings and the stories and the belief systems. Those are a little longer. They range from 5 to 20 minutes, with one audio being almost an hour. Those are designed to be listened to and just listened to. They're speaking to your subconscious brain in the way that your brain listens. You can turn that subconscious audio on while you fall asleep. Mary Jean and Crystal both shared when they first listened to it, Mary Jean said, I never finished it because I kept falling asleep before it was done. Crystal said, I had the best night's sleep. So you can listen to the subconscious audios while you're going to sleep. You can listen to the subconscious audios while you're on a walk. Just don't close your eyes. While you're doing dishes, they're in a more meditative format. But my client, Meg, and I don't recommend listening to meditative audios while you drive, but she listened to the entire thing while she drove on her commute. So be mindful of what state it puts you in, but they're really designed to go with life. And they will change your life as you're listening. You already know your stress patterns. Now it's time to stop living inside the same pattern. And this is easy and it works. And I do this and I use these nervous system hacks on my kids all the time. I remember my husband is not a big believer. There's a lot of skepticism. And I remember picking up my kids from school one day, and we picked them up together, and we're driving home, and it's complete meltdown city in the back seat. And I used one of the nervous system hacks, turning on music in a specific way. And I said, just watch. And by the time the song was done, I had 2 kiddos who were regulated and talking to me again and no longer screaming. All I did was play a song. My husband was like, oh my gosh, that works. He actually feels the shift in one of the reset buttons that I teach. I will do it on him, and he literally feels the shift. As a non-believer of the woo, he can tell you he feels that shift. This works because I'm not making anything up new. This works because this is what your body is designed to do. If you've been listening to this and thinking, this is exactly what happens to me, I want you to hear this clearly. The issue is probably not that you do not understand yourself or doing anything wrong. The issue is that you're missing a piece. And that missing piece is that your brain does not update through explanation. It updates through experience, through repetition, through being given something that it knows and recognizes. And when that starts to happen, you'll notice something powerful. You'll notice that you stop getting hijacked by the patterns that used to run so automatically. Not because you became a different person, because the pattern finally started to change. If this episode hit something deep in you, notice that. Because some women will hear this and feel understood. Some women will hear this and realize they're done only understanding the pattern and they actually are ready for change, real change. And this is what Stress Rewritten is for. It's created for the woman who knows her patterns, knows what she should do, has done the work, and is tired of still feeling stuck in the same loops. This is designed to help your brain start responding differently in ways that your brain already knows and recognizes. If you're ready for that pattern itself to start changing, I invite you into Stress Rewritten. The link is in the show notes. And this has literally changed my life. It then started changing the lives of my one-on-one clients, my group clients, and now I'm opening it up so it can change your life too. It's not expensive. It's $97. And it's designed to live with your life and change the patterns that are driving it. So the link is down in the show notes. Check it out. It's also risk-free. If you try it and use the systems after the first week and you don't see a difference, then email me. I'll refund. I'm not confident that this works. I am happy to have you try it because I know you'll see a difference. But if you don't, it's a risk-free. I will refund you the $97 because I have that much confidence in the program. I've seen it work in my life, in my kids' lives, and in my clients' lives. And I'm so excited to see it work in your life too. I want to thank you for being here, for showing up, for listening to this. Because just showing up shows me that you want change in your life. Honestly, you don't listen to podcasts about self-improvement and self-change and growth. You don't read books about self-improvement and self-change and self-growth if you don't want something different in your life. And I know for a fact that changes in your nervous system not only change your stress response, but change your finances, change your relationships, change your self-view, change your goals. Nervous system is key to everything. And once I really tapped into that, my life changed in so many different ways. So thank you for being here. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for doing something incredible for you. I am so grateful that you're here. I love you and I like you. I want you to hear that because I'm guessing you may not have heard that today. And I want you to hear it. You are incredible. I see it. And I want to wish you all the happiness that today can bring. Check out the link below for Stress Rewritten or on my website, www.landypeek.com, LandyPeek, like peekaboo.com. It's right up at the top. Do this for you because I guarantee it will change your life. I will talk to you on the next episode. Hey, before you go, just a little bit of legal. This podcast is designed for educational purposes only. It is not to replace any expert advice from your doctors, therapists, coaches, or any other professional that you would work with. It's just a chat with a friend, me, where we get curious about ideas, thoughts, and things that are going on in our lives. And as we're talking about friends, if you know someone who would benefit from the conversation today, please share, because I think the more that we open up these conversations, the more benefit we all get. So until next time, give yourself a big hug from me and stay curious, because that's the fun in this world.